it is Stephanie O'Brien Martin. Welcome to Breaking Free and Owning Me. I am your host and coach of this show. Today's caller, his name is Chris, and he struggles with what is widely known in the entrepreneurial space as imposter syndrome. He questions if he's qualified to do what he actually feels called to do, what's really been pulling at his heart for the last 18 months, and the fire and the burning desire to pursue it has really been turned up. So the heat is intense, but then also comes with it the fears. So he fears, and when you see me look down, I'm looking at my notes. He fears what other people think. He questions if other people will see him as competent and qualified. So if you relate to this, tune into this call as I work with him and coach him through how to get over the fear of what other people think and own up to your greatness and qualify yourself and become confident and believing yourself, trusting yourself. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to the show, Chris. It is an honor to have you on today. How can I support you?
It's an honor to be here, Stephanie. Thank you for having me. Well, right now I am in the process of transitioning from a business I've owned for 14 years and it's a brick and mortar service type business, wanting to go into the coaching field. And so in one way, I'm looking for validation that I'm qualified to go into the coaching field, and also how to narrow my niche down, my focus down to where I'm serving people the best my best ability.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So walk me through what's making you feel called, like what's drawing you to coaching?
Gosh, prior to starting this business, I served as a paramedic for almost a decade. And, that fulfillment, that inner fulfillment of serving others, I miss that a lot. And I don't feel like I get that with my current business. And so that's part of it. And then just as I've learned in the last few years, through my own studying and following certain people, certain other coaches, and I want to get that message out to as many other people as I possibly can.
What is the message you want to get out?
Just how much better life can be if you just know how to do it.
Okay. So that sounds like a, maybe not niche, but that sounds like a focus.
Possibly. I mean, of course, you could focus with marriage, you could focus with parenting, you could focus with business, you could focus with career choice. There's so many different, finances, whatever. And that's what I would like to kind of do it all in some ways, but I know may not be feasible either.
What resonates with you the most right now?
Marriage, probably.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is embarrassingly for me to say, she's my third wife. I'm her second husband. And so, we've been together 11 years now. And I see the foundation that creates for everything else to be built upon, whether it's your career or whatever. When that foundation crumbles out from under you, you're starting over. And so if the marriage can be saved, if there's problems within the marriage and it can be saved through, some education or coaching, I think their whole life can blossom at that point.
Okay. So marriage, and I've talked to you before, we right. Booked this call, and I even read your email, and that's been consistent throughout marriage.
Right.
So what's stopping you from embracing that?
couple of things. One is I'm just not to the point in my current business to be able to completely make the transition. And then two, just, trying to understand within myself what qualifies me to do that for other people. And then also the fear of putting myself out there.
Okay. So what do you think does qualify somebody?
Experience, education, bunch of letters after their name. I don't know.
Does that feel true?
Not always. I think experience is a lot of it, though.
Experiences, which from what you just said, sounds like you have a lot of it.
A little. Maybe not the right experience, but then that could be useful too, I think.
You can learn a lot from what doesn't work.
Correct. That's my point.
Yeah. And sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of times, failure makes the best teacher.
Right. It has for me.
Okay. So based off of experience, you have those qualifications.
Right.
And it sounds like there's a limiting story there, that you also need a degree, a bunch of letters behind your name, and certifications, XYZ.
I don't necessarily believe that. I think I worry other people believe that.
Okay. So that's good. So you don't believe that, but you worry other people will believe that. Are you meant to work with the other people that really believe that you're only qualified and competent to help them if you have a degree and XYZ certification and blah, 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 blah? Do you think you could really resonate and help with that person?
Probably not.
Okay. Could you let that go? Let them go? Let those kinds of people go, that's not who you're ideally meant to work with?
Absolutely.
Okay. So how does that feel?
A little refreshing and encouraging.
Yeah. So a lot of times when we get in our head, we're not taking steps we would help propel us into our calling or fulfilling our dreams. It's helpful to ask yourself these questions. Is it true? And then figure out if it's not true or if it is true. You got to follow that and really, really lean into, like, is it absolutely true 100% of the time to all people? And then if you're finding that, well, it's not true for me, but other people, that means externally you're looking for external validation.
Correct.
Instead of inside, in agreement with God, the big guy upstairs who's already validated you, already called you, already qualified you.
Right.
And I don't think that there's anywhere where that where it says you need to look to man to validate you, to confirm that what I told you to do, you are capable of. In fact, I think there's an abundant amount of warning in his word that says, do not look to man. Don't look at their faces. Don't respond to them. Feelings are fickle. They are like, they're here today, gone tomorrow. Like, it's just mankind's judgment, validation is one of the most unreliable things. Yet so many of us hinge our destiny and willingness to follow our calling on that alone.
I agree.
So what do you need to let go of?
My own fears, I'm sure.
Okay. What are you afraid of?
Somebody thinking I'm a fraud, or um, investing time to go down this road to find that it's not the right fit for me, or it's not able to support myself or my family.
Okay. All right. So now you're getting into more. So there's a couple of fears. So what happens if someone believes you're a fraud? Then what?
I don't know. I mean, I guess the worst case is, oh well, I mean, what can I do about that? I guess I could tuck my tail and run and hide.
Is that what you want to do?
Some days.
Some days it's true. We all battle that. We all fight that. But what do you really want to do?
Prove them wrong.
Prove them wrong. Okay. And what would that look like?
Just results for the people I'm working with.
Mm-hmm. And the people you're working with are not those that believe you're a fraud?
Well, obviously not.
I'm just clarifying for your sake. We're clarifying this.
Okay.
Who you're called to work with.
Right.
What we know, you're not called to work with those that are dead set hung up on credentials as being a qualifier.
Right.
Degrees, certifications, blah, blah, blah. Okay? That's not who you're called to work with. So if they're, if they're really hung up on that and you're sensing that, you can just release them. You can say, it seems like it's very important. Sometimes you can dig deeper. Maybe it's like, oh, I'm really afraid to make this investment in myself and I want to trust you. Help me through that. So you can kind of dig a little bit deeper. You can ask what makes your degree or certification or something so important to know. You can just flat out ask that, because I've had people ask me that and I could see right through it. It's not that they need to know like my qualifications. They want to know that I can really help them.
Right.
And I'm able to see that. And so when I ask the question, I just push back a little bit and say, what makes that important?
Okay.
And then you'll find the real answer is, well, this is a big investment and I just, I'm afraid. I'm afraid that it might be a waste of money, blah, blah, blah. And you can coach them through that. So there's that. Let's see. What was your other fear? Fraud. That you might not be able to make this work.
Yes.
And that you won't be able to provide for your family. Okay. So let's explore that.
Okay.
So what happens if you pursue this because you believe you're called to do it, and you take the risk of faith to believe that, this is going to be fulfilling. This is going to fuel your soul and feed your soul on so many levels. However, you just can't seem to make ends meet and make it work. Then what? What does that mean?
I don't know. I mean, I've been in business long enough to know a lot of times you just have to step back and go, okay, what's working, what's not working? Why is this not working? Maybe it's reassessing the value you see in yourself. Maybe I need to, it might be a point where I have to look at what I'm charging people. Maybe I'm not charging enough, or maybe I'm charging too much, so I think a lot of that's just things I'll have to learn as I go. It's just, I had a lot of fears when I started the business I have, but 14 years later, I'm still here. So, we've had our ups and downs, but it does, it's just, you have to be a problem solver, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't quell those fears though.
No, it doesn't mean that you're not triggered of those fears.
Right.
But you have the decision to make. Are you going to let those fears hold you back and freeze you from moving forward and doing anything? Or are you
I,
going to do it scared, do it
you
afraid?
know, I won't allow them to prevent me from moving forward, but it's definitely something that has slowed my progress, I would say.
Okay. So are you ready to change that?
I am.
What do you need to do?
Probably just get myself out there and start talking to people and finding a way to market myself.
Okay. And what would that look like?
I don't know. I've thought of talking to the churches to see if, if they have someone that's already working with couples and that are having issues with their marriage, and if not, then I could offer, to be that person for them at no charge, maybe to start, just to build my own confidence, and then obviously a website and that sort of thing too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So how are you feeling right now?
Scared.
What scares you? The taking action?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I won't lie, and I mean, this is something that started blooming in me, for lack of a better word, 18 months ago, and I've made a lot of steps towards it, but I haven't jumped off that cliff yet. I've done a lot of reading, I've done a lot of research, and a lot of learning, but I'm just now to the point I really do feel like I have something to offer someone else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like what Dan Miller calls, I think I heard this phrase, an armchair entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Where you're just spending all your time consuming content, training, learning, developing, researching, but doing no action to start getting results.
Right.
So, when are you going to start?
Hoping this next month. What tomorrow is February, so by the end of February, I expect to be doing something for it.
Do you have any idea what that something might be?
Maybe I could start talking to the churches. I don't know how much I can, or who to put in your show here, but you might have to edit that out.
Go for it.
So that call I'm looking to make this afternoon is with Dave Ramsey to become a Financial Peace University facilitator.
Nice.
And so just to get myself in front of people and talking and coaching in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I need that as well. So.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like a great first step.
Okay, great.
So I want to ask you a question. How well do you trust yourself?
Wow, that's a good question. That's a big question. It depends what we're talking about, but I'd say a 9 out of 10.
Okay. Pretty good number.
It's a decent number, but there's, the last few years have been pretty difficult in our business. And so sometimes I question my ability to make the right decision. I had somebody tell me about a year ago, says, whatever decision you make, just make the 180 degree opposite and see how that works out for a while. I don't know how good advice that was, but I understood what he was saying.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So 9 out of 10 with how well you trust yourself. It's pretty high.
Yeah.
And how much do you believe in yourself?
That would be a lower number. Maybe a 5 out of 10.
What is the reason for that? Like, why are you assessing yourself as a 5?
I think I'm my own worst critic. I'm a perfectionist by nature, and so nothing I ever do is good enough. I always feel like I'm striving for more perfection or to be better.
Where does that come from?
Gosh, my dad, he's a perfectionist. And it's funny, because when I was a kid, he would just ride me about things. And now that I'm older and that's so ingrained in me, and then I see him do things, I'm like, I would have had my rear end chewed out for doing what you just did, or So he's relaxed a lot too, I think.
But okay, so you've learned this behavior from your dad, who rode you very hard.
He did, yeah. I mean, he was pretty hard on me as a kid, but I think that's what he knew.
Okay. Yes. And it's not a judgment. Like, I ask this question a lot. A lot of people think like, oh, I don't want to make my parents look bad. Look, we all do the best we can with what we have.
Absolutely.
And so it is not, but it's just how we as the children perceive certain things, learned from that model of behavior, or maybe we weren't modeled a certain behavior, but we started developing these stories or partnering with these lies that exhibit a way we behave now, a way we think, and then it creates our results that we see.
Absolutely, yeah.
So how do you parent yourself now as a grown man?
I don't know, because I'm dealing with some stuff in my current business, and I'm trying to wrap up, of trying to ease off on that perfectionist mindset, so I just get it done, but still be good enough. The quality is still there for what I've done and for my customers. But I know I have to. That done is better than perfect. I heard that somewhere recently. That done is better than perfect, and I like that a lot. But it's hard for me to say that's good enough.
Because are you parenting yourself the way your dad did?
Probably. I would assume I am to some degree.
Because I would agree with that. Just from my observation that you said words like, I don't know if it's ever good enough or right or perfect enough, or like there's this incredible pressure of like an expectation or maybe a performance, a certain way it needs to look.
Right.
And you are writing yourself very hard.
It's a paralyzing disability sometimes.
Mm-hmm. How did it paralyze you as a kid?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't know that I really saw the effects of it till I was more of an adult.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, we repeat what we know.
Right.
Then we develop coping strategies that don't always work. They worked for us then, and they're not working for us now.
Right.
So how does perfecting benefit you?
At one time I thought it set me apart as far as the level of work that I did. I mean, by trade, I'm a craftsman, so it's, if it's not perfect, then you didn't do your best. I mean, that was the mindset I've had.
Okay.
But then I realized somewhere along the way how big of a word perfect really is.
Very big.
Yeah, it's huge,
And very unhuman.
unobtainable, actually.
It's not human.
Yeah,
Humans are not called to be perfect.
right.
We are made perfect, not through our efforts or anything we have done.
Right. By grace alone.
Exactly.
Right.
But man, does human nature just love, ego just loves thinking we can earn things, lose things, work hard enough to obtain certain things. And we just to in some elements, yes, but not with grace.
Right.
Okay. Have you noticed the perfectionism come up in childhood?
When I was a kid, did I notice it?
Yes.
I mean, I think looking back, I can. And, as far as coping skills, I mean, he strived for me to do well in school and to be perfect in school. And so I rebelled against that. And I didn't do well in school. And it wasn't that I was not intelligent or not smart. I could pass all the standardized testing actually very well, but I just didn't do well in typical classroom settings. And I find some of that coping come through in what I do even today. I mean, I'll take forever to do something, and if I'll just get so frustrated with it, I'll just say that's good enough and just be done with it, and then I go, why did I beat myself up over that? Why couldn't I have just done that 2 weeks ago and been done with it 2 weeks ago instead of stressing over it for 2 weeks?
Okay. So you rebelled. Where do you rebel today?
I don't as much anymore. I mean, I think some of it is that, or maybe it is. I mean, some of it, some days I get so overwhelmed by what needs to be done. And my dad had that mentality that, I mean, if you don't have something visibly, if you can't accomplish something that's visible, then you haven't really done anything. He's very task oriented. And so some days it's hard for me just to know what even direction to go.
That's a lot hanging on.
It is. I mean,
Well, I want to just work with you through this, because that can create just patterns of being stuck, like you said, overwhelmed.
Oh yeah.
Able to make a decision, not believing that you can make the right decision or know what to do. That's a lot of stuff happening. And it's like that story, what I believe I heard you say, and I don't know if you've agreed with this, it sounds like you have, that your father's story was, I'm going to paraphrase this, and I could be incorrect, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but almost like you're really not worth much until you have tangible results, visible outcomes.
That's where he finds his worth. And I know, I said that's where he finds his worth.
Mm-hmm. That's his story.
It is. Okay. I mean, he didn't know how else to teach me, but to let that be my story, I think.
Is that your story as well?
I don't think it is.
Okay. What do you believe?
I'm not sure, honestly. I mean, I guess it probably was my story for a while.
Okay.
And maybe I'm sure that perfectionist, to be, I don't want any flaws in anything I've done. Okay. And I'll just keep working at it until it's that way, or at least as close to that way as I can make it. Mm-hmm. So that's probably where I get my worth from.
Perfection?
Yes. I mean, it has been in the past. Yeah. I'm trying to change that.
Trying?
If you can tell me how,
You are or you are not?
I am. Absolutely am.
Okay.
A lot has happened in the last year.
Yeah.
A lot
Tell
of
me
good.
what happened in the last year.
Oh, I don't know. I found, or a year and a half, I found a lot of influential people that I've read their books and listened to their podcasts, and joined like the Dan Miller group and really associating with other people that there was a network out there I'd never tapped into.
Hmm.
And that's
What did
been,
that do for you?
I'm sorry.
What did that do for you?
I think it opened my eyes to the possibilities of what I can and can't, what I can do and who I could become.
Hmm. That's wonderful. So, how much does this perfectionism and the lack of belief in yourself hold you back?
Um, I would say tremendously, and I don't know, but I get to a point where I kind of don't worry about the consequences, or I don't worry about the what ifs or and I just go for it headstrong. I mean, but it takes me a while to get to that point. And if I could cut out that delay, I could probably achieve more.
So what's going on with you during this delay? What's the mental story game? What's going on?
Um, it comes back to that fear of failure or fear of somebody judging me or whatever. It's so weird because I feel torn between I'm worried about what people think, but then I don't worry about what people think. I mean, I'm a walking contradiction.
I think you're mixing, like, what is it, grace and the law? Like, you're free or you're enslaved.
Right. And
You're
I
either free to be you or you're placing yourself under slavery of the fear of fear.
Yeah, I get it. And here's the thing is that I'll be real transparent. I'm very new in my walk of faith. I was baptized less than a year ago. And so, it's a whole other learning.
That's another one.
Yeah.
That takes some development. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It does. And so it's working. It's developing. But that's there's, gosh, you can only spread yourself so thin about what areas you develop at one time.
There. Yeah, I'm learning that one. That's my area.
I'm not alone.
What?
I'm glad I'm not alone.
No, you're definitely not. That's my growth area, one of many. But the not spreading yourself too thin, learning to let go of, wow, it all sounds so great. I see that I need so much work and everything.
Right.
Where do I start?
Right. Absolutely.
I've learned, like, okay, just pick the one that's speaking to me and calling me the most, and be okay letting everything else go.
You bet.
It doesn't mean you're quitting. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be there for you later. And what you'll find is it's almost like a ripple effect, that as you grow in one area, you find that different habits, like, let's say it's morning routine or watching your spending, you'll also find that you'll probably start watching what you eat.
Right.
Watching how you spend your time, even though your goal and your focus is on getting your financial health up. You'll find that it just kind of trickles out organically. So when you let go, it's like trusting that the other things do get put in order. There is a balance, though. Sometimes things can be let go and completely neglected, but I don't feel like you need to be warned about that. You don't strike me as a person that needs that that overachiever talk of like, let's not be too controlling and trying to do it all at once.
Right. No, I learned a few years ago that that's impossible. I made a lot of changes several years ago that, looking back, had I tried to do all that at once, well, in fact, I had tried to do it all at once, and I failed every single time. The formula, it's like, do one thing, get that under your belt, and then do something else, you know.
That's a great lesson to share with other people.
Okay.
That's something I'm learning, have not learned, learning. And I like learning from those that are further ahead of me on the learning curve because I'm new to this lesson. So, all right. How are you feeling right now about having more clarity?
Better.
Okay.
If I could just, I really think I need a coach to get me over that edge of my own.
Of yourself? Get over yourself?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. I needed a coach to help me get over me.
Yeah. So, you know, that's something I'm probably going to look into in the next 30 to 60 days for sure.
Yeah. I definitely recommend it. It's very, very tremendously helpful. If we're not building up, especially when we're building up the belief muscle in ourselves, if we have made decisions in the past that didn't go so well and we have lost trust in ourselves, all of that can be really hard. And so a coach is really helpful in really just affirming what you already know and giving yourself permission to do what you know you need to do anyway. Eventually, though, it is very helpful to learn the skill of giving yourself permission on your own. But it takes time. Everybody's in a different place. So I do want to encourage you. You really do know what you want. You have the answers. You have the wisdom. You have the skill set. And you don't know everything. None of us do. You know what you need to do to take that first step. And then when comes time to take the next step, you'll have what you need to take that.
Okay.
We won't have the blueprint in front of us. We won't have the entire map. We don't get, we just, sorry, we just don't.
What I want, you know?
Yeah. We would love that. That step-by-step process and this is what you need to do. But we don't get that with life. We get the next step.
Right.
Scripture says your word is a lamp unto my feet. A lamp. How bright is a lamp?
Not very, just enough to take the next step or two.
It's just, yeah, you really get illuminated one step at a time. We want the spotlight. We want the whole city lit up. Like, but that's just, and I've struggled with accepting that. I really have. But yeah, so I would encourage you to take your steps.
Okay.
So remind me again, what is the step you're going to take? When are you going to take it? And
So,
how are you going to make sure you follow through on it?
am I answering that question now?
You're going to answer 3 of those, please. Please.
Okay. So I will start talking to some churches about working with people within their congregation for marriage coaching, and I will do that by the end of February.
Awesome.
What was the other question?
How are you going to make sure you're going to follow through?
Oh gosh, I'm gonna write it on this whiteboard back here behind me.
Okay.
This is all new, but these whiteboards are about to become my boss.
Okay. And who is presently in your life that can help hold you accountable to that?
My wife,
Okay.
Bill.
Okay. Awesome. Do you know how many churches you're going to contact?
I haven't thought that far.
Okay. You can keep playing with that. Whatever feels right for you. And keep moving forward. Anything else I can help you with?
Not that I can think of right at the moment.
Okay. What are your takeaways?
So I need to believe in myself and not get out of my own way.
Mm-hmm.
But that grace has given me the authority and the credentials to do what I'm about to embark upon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how does that feel to accept that?
It feels good. It feels liberating.
Go with that. Go with that liberation and that
Okay.
freedom.
Will do.
Okay. All right. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you, Chris. Thank you so much for being a caller on Breaking Free and Owning Me and being coachable and transparent. And honestly, it takes courage to sign up to be a caller. And I appreciate you stepping up and saying, I need some help. I'd like some help, and I'm going to take this opportunity.
Well, I appreciate you having me. I hope I was helpful to someone else out there.
I believe you are. Thank you. Well, there you have it. That was my call with Chris. And I want to thank you, Chris, for being so coachable and vulnerable and taking this brave step to be coached on this show, because I know it's not easy to be that transparent and open, especially when you know that this is going to be publicized. But your courage and bravery is helping so many other people because you are not alone. The viewer watching this episode probably feels so relieved that they're not alone. And these are very common fears. So if you struggle with fearing what other people think of you, what did you take away? Leave in the comments what spoke the most to you. And then what I found that Chris really needed was accountability and action to take that first step. He needed the accountability to put a when date out there and then to specifically state what he was going to do. Because as long as he remained in his head, he was confusing himself and kept telling himself he didn't know what to do. He didn't know where to begin. But he so quickly, when I asked, so what are you going to do? First he did say, I don't know. But then he knew exactly what he was going to do. So what are you going to do? If you find yourself in this same situation, declare in the comments right now, or to somebody near you, or a friend that you can trust will hold you accountable in a loving but firm way. What are you going to do? What action step are you going to do? What specifically will you do, and when will you do it by? And then tell me what you need, what spoke to you the most as far as encouraging you to get past the fear of what other people think. God qualifies the called, not human beings. Mankind does not qualify you, God does. And He will bring the right people that He has set aside and set apart for you to specifically work with and do business with. He will put them on your path. He will help you know how to find them and how they can find you. It does become a trusting, surrendered action. Yes, we have action to take. It's not like we sit around twiddling our thumbs doing nothing like he felt like he was doing. He was researching, he was training and learning, and that's all great. There is a time and place for it. It's absolutely important. But when we drag it out and take no action, we become what I heard the first time this phrase from Dan Miller with 48 Days to the Work You Love, an armchair entrepreneur. So be careful of being an armchair entrepreneur, of just consuming content and becoming like learning and learning and learning and never like following through with action to do, because real experience is that is your expertise, not just consuming information and reading books. Thank you for checking in with Breaking Free and Owning Me. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell for notifications so you don't miss another show or episode on Breaking Free and Owning Me. If you like this episode, give it a thumbs up and make sure to leave comments, share it with a friend that you think would largely benefit from this. And I'll talk to you guys all next time.